So here I am, about 3 years into my spiritual journey of healing all of the trauma that I've experienced throughout my life, on top of helping my children deal with their traumas that they have experienced as well. And I guess with that, I'm going to go into the fact that I was a military member I retired from the military. I spent 20 years in, and I did a job that caused me to have to work shift work. And I was also a recruiter for the Air Force. And my children paid the price for my career choice. We are briefed and we go through all kinds of training while we're in, telling us how resilient our children are and how they can endure anything because they're flexible. And we're giving them this stable environment is what we're kind of taught, because you have stability with finances, you have stability with knowing that you have medical coverage and all that type of stuff. But when you look at your life, the military is one of the most unstable careers, at least for the position that I held. It was very unstable. It was not a job that was made for a person that was going to have a family if you wanted to actually be active in your family's life, because there are times that I worked 16, 18-hour days, and I had kids. But I say all that. We endured it and we survived it and all that stuff, but that's what we did. We survived it. We weren't thriving while we were going through this lifestyle, but we were surviving. And in 2018, I retired, and it's taken us from 2018 until last year, 2024, for us kind of to really get healthy, my kids and I, emotionally, mentally, physically, like all of that. Because what I think sometimes as military members that we don't understand or realize or want to see the truth in is that all the stress and shit that we felt with the jobs that we had to do, our children felt that too. Like when you went home stressed the fuck out because your boss was an asshole in that moment, because whatever you had to work on a project that day didn't turn out quite exactly how he wanted it to, and so you had to stay late to redo some shit, you don't get overtime. You know what I mean? You don't typically, for my job, you necessarily didn't get comp time either. But my children suffered. My children had to wait on me to get done with whatever I was supposed to be done with, regardless of what my schedule was. When the job had to be done, the job had to be done. But we go through so many trainings and so much, at least when I was in. I don't know what the fuck they doing now. But there were so many different classes and courses that I went through. Honestly, it helped me a lot. But it was more of indoctrination of, hey, continue to do this because this is why. And this is going to make you better if you keep on following these rules and live in this dominant field that tells you exactly what to do, when to do it, how to do it. Now, mind you, I am grateful for the benefits that I have from my service, but trust me, I earned all the motherfucking benefits that I got. Everything that I received, I earned that shit. But the main thing I'm talking about is the fact that as military parents, we oftentimes dismiss how the fuck that shit really affected our children. How our children do not know stability because they moved 10 or 15 times in their lives. Some were lucky and only moved by 4 or 5 times. But even if you're moving 4 or 5 times to different states, different countries, you have people that speak different languages sometimes, kids that are in completely different ways of life, and you have to go in as a child and immerse yourself and adapt and overcome. And the kids, they put up on a good front and say, yeah, I made some friends, or I'm doing well. But here I am, my children are now 25 and 21, and they're telling me, Mom, this shit was hard. It was difficult to have to go make new friends in the middle of a school year. It was hard to be away from what I knew when I had got comfortable in a certain place. Or it was hard to be in a place that we didn't really care for the area. So it's like, as I recruited for this, I have people that I enlisted that are still serving, and I love all of them. But I always talked about balance with the people that I did enlist. Like, balance is one of the most important things you can have in life. And in the military environment, and in the Air Force, because I wasn't in the military, I was in the Air Force. In the Air Force, depending on your job, balance could be very well laid out for you, because you had a job that was a 9 to 5. It wasn't 24/7. I wasn't that person. The job that I had stayed open 24/7. That motherfucker never closes. It is always open. So somebody's always going to have to cover a shift. So there were days when I had to get up and go to work and be told, go back home and go to sleep because I need you to work a night shift. And I had kids. So I was sacrificing, they were sacrificing. And it's all for what? You know what I mean? It's all for what? For me to be indoctrinated so much in my life that I went from one indoctrination to another, from a church to a school, to trying to find my freedom of whoever I am, to going into the military because that was my safety net. Like, people, a lot of us join because we don't have any other options, because we come from nothing and we're trying to create a life for ourselves. And then sometimes we get caught up and have kids, and we're indoctrinated to say that this is a good environment for a family. We have all these programs for families to help families out when people are deployed and stuff like that. But when your life, comes to that place of deployment, if your unit don't give a fuck about you, you think they're going to give a fuck about your family while you gone? But that's just a part of the military life. That's just, me talking about how I honestly look back and I'm like, fuck. Like, I really bought into the resiliency program that we were being indoctrinated with or trained. It's not all bad, but it is very misleading when you're being convinced that your children are fine. But nobody went and talked to those kids and had those kids come and stand up in briefings and talk about how them being away from their parents for 6, 12, 15 months at a time affected them. We tried to balance shit as much as we could, but how did it truly affect these kids? Like, I have a lot of friends that kids have joined the service. And for me, I wonder, are they joining the service because all they know is moving around and instability? So this is their comfort zone because that's what their life has always been. So it's easier to just go into what you know versus stepping outside of what you know and seeing that there are other ways of life. Now, I'm not knocking anybody for serving, because I did it and I recruited for it. So obviously I believed in it. But I also know that there has to be balance in whatever you do in life. And I just look back and I can see how I was trained to believe in this shit and to disregard my children in the process. And for me, that is the worst thing that I did. I love my service. I am grateful for my service. But I hate the fact that my kids suffered because of my service.